3, 2, 1. We coming at y'all live. It is the Man Cave Archives.
Yo.
Hey, it's your boy TD and good old Tyson. That Dynamite coming to y'all in full effect. Guys, we're here to bring it to you live tonight. We appreciate it. Appreciate y'all sitting in with us. It is about that 9:14 hour in that Houston, Texas Central Standard Time. But man, let's get into it.
Sir. So obviously, if you saw the title, the first title, obviously we're talking about God of War getting delayed. Castlevania Season 4 review, J. Cole's album review, and we're talking about One Piece 1013, Chapter 1013, aka Chapter 1013, that dropped officially today at about 11 a.m. Texas time. Obviously, the scanlations come out way earlier than that, but just to give that official review with the official dialogue that happened in the chapter. But obviously, tonight we're starting off with God of War delayed. This is something that a lot of people feared was going to happen. A lot of people close in the industry kind of already felt that it had been delayed. It just wasn't announced. Now, it has not been officially delayed by Sony. But this is Jason Schreier, someone who has a very good track record of reporting in the gaming community, sometimes to the chagrin of developers like a Corey Barlog when he talks about crunch. But crunch is no different than, and I'm not trying to poo-poo anything here, but crunch is no different than when you're in the production field. I used to do production work full-time. Sometimes we had 108-hour work weeks when we were on the road, and sometimes we had 72-hour work weeks, or we had 50-hour work weeks, or we just had a straight 40. It kind of comes with the territory. Unfortunately, it is a standard part of a job. If you don't like it, not trying to be funny, make your own business then. Because if you work for somebody else, guess what? They're going to run you ragged.
Yeah,
you're just a number to them. If you don't like it, then again, as I said, make your own business or find a different developer who might not do something like that. But saying all that to just get into this, it has been delayed supposedly. Internally, we're just waiting for it to be officially announced. But this story that I'm reading from comes from Game Rant. It is a few days old, but I know it hasn't really made the rounds yet. But it says, unfortunately, as it may seem, God of War Ragnarok has reportedly been delayed internally with an official statement from Sony yet to be made. God of War Ragnarok was announced on September 16, 2020, and has since been has not since been heard from. At the time of its announcement, it was revealed the God of War sequel would be released in 2021, but it seems that's becoming more unlikely. Some had theorized that God of War Ragnarok wouldn't see its initial release date due to the lack of information revealed since its announcement, and because Sony Santa Monica Studio hasn't been able to offer much confirmation of whether it was coming later this year. Not later this year. Now it's all but confirmed that the game won't be releasing in 2021 after an insider from the games industry has teased that it won't be coming this year. It says reputable journalist Jason Schreier broke the news on Twitter when asked about when God of War Ragnarok would be formally delayed. This came after the news that Horizon Forbidden West is still slated for this year, which has been surrounded by some skepticism of its 2021 release date as well, but it seems that Guerrilla Studios is sticking to that date. So again, this just goes down to this tweet. Someone asked him, this guy named James, says, when do you think it will be formally delayed? Jason Schreier, I think it was delayed months ago and will be formally announced whenever they next talk about it. So obviously that brings us to this year's E3. We know Sony doesn't do E3 anymore, but they still will more than likely do a state of play. Their last state of play left a lot to be desiring of. And so obviously with the supposed delay of God of War Ragnarok, now we're looking at only maybe 2 huge titles for PlayStation this year. One of them being Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart, and Horizon Forbidden West. So this is again another thing which honestly is probably not going to hurt PlayStation's prospects because the system cannot stay on store shelves between all of the scalpers who keep on buying them, and then hungry gamers buying copies as well. I believe the PlayStation 5 worldwide has already sold over 20 million, according to Sony. I think it's done like 8 to 9 million here in the States alone. And so it's still selling. I don't believe Sony is selling it at a profit loss either. I believe they're actually selling it as an asset gain. So, which brings us back to the question. Again, will this hurt PlayStation long term, not having any true exclusives on the platform, or is this just another day at Sony?
I mean, I personally feel like Sony has obviously began to realize this was going to happen a while back. I mean, they have more insight on data and information before we do. And I'm sure they probably tried to take as many measures as they could to avoid the PlayStation 5 having a kind of disastrous first year if you really pay attention to it. But I think that what they're banking on, everyone is being pacified currently because of the chip shortage, and as well as when you consider that COVID has a real thing, it's had a real impact on things. I think they're just at this point where, like, you know what, it is what it is. Moving forward, we're gonna push as hard as we can to try to make something of year 2, because year 1 has been buns. I mean, it's buns. You're not you can't really make a chocolate souffle out of this brown stuff that's been put on full display this past year. So it's been a hard year, and you can clearly see where the effects have been in the video game industry. So you can see it all the way around. In other words, it isn't just Sony that's having these issues. Yeah. Games are being delayed left and right. Some games are even, I'm probably going to start seeing some cancellations very soon, I think. Unless there's going to be more of those venture capitalist types who decide they want to put their foot in the video game industry and say, hey, we'll loan you a couple million if you can get this out by this time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it'll see, because here's the thing. As long as scalpers keep buying it, the system's going to keep on being profitable. It's not going to be until scalpers see that is not as profitable as they thought it was going to be, with more people not willing to pay $1,200, $900, $700 for a $500 machine. Once that saturation begins to set in, then when the scalpers stop buying and then it actually gets on store shelves, and then when the gamers actually get their hands to potentially be on it, and then they're like, man, it just doesn't have anything on it that I want to play. Now, obviously, with people looking to upgrade, you're going to have the Call of Duties that are going to sell the system. You're going to have the Maddens that are going to sell the system, the FIFAs, the sports games. If there's really a sports enthusiast who's ready to play updated graphics, updated specs, updated this or that, then you're going to definitely see, a lot of people adopting it. But if the games still aren't there, if the system does become saturated and store shelves are actually able to get it on shelves, and then the systems don't move, then people are going to be like, why isn't the game selling? Well, not the game, why isn't the system selling? And people are going to say, well, it doesn't have any games. Much to what people like EA and them seem to believe that no one wants to play single player games. Lies. If you look at a lot of the top tier selling games, Pokemon Snap, Animal Crossing, single player. Yes, you can play online, but it's truly a single player game.
Yeah.
Mario Kart, again, you can play online, but that game is a single player game. Zelda Breath of the Wild, I'm talking about 20 plus million copies sold games here. I'm not talking about, run-of-the-mill games. The Last of Us Part 1, $15 to $17 million. Copies sold. God of War, the God of War, a.k.a. God of War 4, 18 to 20 million copies sold on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Single-player games sell. Yeah, yes, do we have the Call of Duties that, make buku money every year? Yeah, you do, because it's a brand now. But most of the top selling games are ideally single player games. I know GTA 5 started off as just the storyline, so did Red Dead Redemption 2, just the storyline. Then they introduced online later, and that later online component, look at GTA, it's still selling like dog on hotcakes. It's about to get a definitive edition on PlayStation 5 later on this year. So I think definitely the system will continue to sell, but unfortunately, again, 6 months until Returnal came out, 8 months until Ratchet and Clank comes out, and hopefully Horizon comes out in September, October. But at that point, you're talking about 10 months before the system gets 3 first-party exclusives. This is Wii U territory here,
Yeah.
with not having an actual first-party, definitive game on the system. So it'll be interesting to see how this develops. But those are my thoughts on God of War, Ragnarok, or God of War 5 being delayed.
Well, I mean, like you said, the God of War 5 was gonna be. I don't know. I feel like they have an opportunity, but I think just this year has been that tragic that's why we're not seeing it happen. Like you said, Sony not doing E3 anymore, God of War being what it is, chip shortage, and just the overall business and how it affects the whole video game industry. It's going to be interesting going forward because I don't think one game stops it, but one game can indicate what's really going on.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying about it. So
definitely agreed. So as a topic for God of War, our next topic is going to be or which one you want to get into. We can do Castlevania.
Let's do Castlevania. Castle-freaking-vania, man.
All right, Castlevania Season 4.
Oh, okay. So, guys, I'm clearly the resident Castlevania fan here. I'm not even lying about it. I've been a Castlevania fan since I was a little boy when I used to want to play it on my Nintendo, and then I obviously got it on the Super Nintendo and had it on the N64, and then did everything I could to eventually end up capturing it, the Symphony of the Nights, and all of them on the 3D on the DS and 3DS. So I'm pretty aware of it. The Netflix series, for one, is an original telling of the Castlevania series. Yes, they have certain themes that do go close to the video games themselves, but a lot of it is original content. So you have this story basically of Dracula who goes mad and wants to kill and destroy everybody in the land of, I think it was Torgavista. And he wanted to destroy everybody, so he's the big bad in the first season and second season. Third season, they took a very different approach where they were setting up a lot of what was going to happen in the end in the fourth season. And so you had a lot of these other characters who were introduced, like the Hectors and Isaacs. They were inside seasons 1 and 2, but they took a more prominent role in season 3. You had the Camillas, the Lenores, and the just all these other characters that were kind of like put in there. There's a character by the name of Saint Germain, and he has a role that is a little confusing, a little befuddling because he just kind of roams about, if you will. But in the fourth season, a lot of the mystery that took place in seasons 3 as well as part of 2 are made really, really clear, evidently clear. And it sets up where, if you're a Castlevania fan, you know that the second to last boss, is typically death.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, they did it in such a subtle way that I was screaming at my brother. He's upstairs. He's like, take care of some business. I'm like, bro, it's death. And it was such a dope story. So let's get into it. The animation was absolutely incredible. It is an animated series and do take a very Japanese influenced take on the character animations. And there is a lot of, this is not for the faint of heart or really for little bitty eyes. Like, if your kid is 13, 14 years old, there's really not much. I'll say season 3 was probably more. You'd be like, I think we can avoid that one. But this season in particular, it was very much like Demon Slayer or like any one of these big animes right now that feature a lot of violence at a TVMA. It just is what it is. There is some language in it, quite colorful. Mm-hmm. I think it's funny when you hear like F words coming from things that are animated, especially when you're my age, because Bugs Bunny is what you recognize as animation. You know, Bugs Bunny, Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, all that. You know, before they went unabridged or before they went, without filters or uncut, they literally had a strict rule on the language they would use. This one is like they said, language what language, and threw the book out the window. So it can be a little vulgar from time to time, but a lot of the wording is used to articulate who these characters are, so that way you have a very defined understanding of who these characters are. They introduced a couple characters like Varney, and I think his name was, I can't remember his name. He was a character who went with Varney. But people didn't pick up on what Varney was saying before, a big major reveal toward the end. And so ultimately the story deals with them trying to revive Dracula after he's been killed, basically. Mm-hmm. And so this, like I said, storyline, animation, you'd have to watch it. Honestly, I'm going to recommend, if you plan to jump into this Castlevania series, start at season 1, work your way to season 2, get through season 3, and you will appreciate season 4 in its ultimate form. Now, the only thing that's a little disappointing is, truth be told, there's going to be a spinoff to the series, but from what I've read, the creators of the Castlevania series have decided to let this be the last one. And it's pretty cool that it ends like this. It ends on a really, really high note. And you get to see a lot of characters where their stories are kind of like, justice is brought for one character who suffered in the very beginning. And you see this character in the very end. You see the possible deaths of certain characters. And it's just, like I said, it's an overall satisfactory way to end the series. So I'm going to rate this. I know some people rated it a 9. I'm going to rate it a 10. And it's because just the high quality of the storytelling. Like, it's perfect. Like, I get that it's not, like, you're never going to hear about Trevor, but you're not going to hear about Simon. You're not going to hear about Richter. You're not going to hear about all the other Belmonts or the Belnades. Cypher Belnades is in there, but you're not going to hear about the rest of the families. And they don't really make it look like, so it's like they left like a foot on, foot off situation. But they said this is going to be last season. I would recommend you taking some time to chill, watch it. It's definitely worth it. It's about 10 episodes. 26 minutes a piece. You can finish this within 2 days, 3 days, if you really wanted to. I know some people will finish it in 1 day. I'm not advising you to do that because I know you have other things to do, but I'm saying it's a really, really good series. I highly recommend it. Hats off to Netflix for actually putting something together like this. Like, really, that's pretty dope. Like, I know people gave them a lot of flack for Jupiter's Legacy, but yeah.
that rant from the amazing Lucas.
Oh my goodness!
I watch regularly. His rant was legendarily funny, but yeah, I'd say I like the series. I haven't watched all of it. I haven't watched season 3. I was watching. I have seen the first 4 episodes of season 4. Gotta say that the animation quality is great. I even saw the whole fight leading up to fighting death. How they were going through all of the other vampires and monsters on their way up there.
Oh yeah.
Very dope fight scenes. I don't know. For me, I'm still caught up in that legendary fight between Alucard and Dracula.
Oh yeah.
That fight will always be
one
of my favorite animated fights.
Oh yeah.
That I've seen in season 2 when they fought one another. But definitely cool seeing Trevor Belmont. I was just researching some of the actual lineage of the series to see why they chose Trevor as the first Belmont they were going to cover. Chronologically, he's the first Belmont to ever actually fight and kill Dracula.
Yeah.
Leon Belmont is actually the first one recorded, but he never fought Dracula, and so that's why they started off with Trevor Belmont, Cypher, Belnedes, and Alucard. Because he's been alive even when you get to Dawn of Sorrow. I believe Alucard's been alive for over 400 plus years.
Yeah, definitely.
He's old.
Yeah.
And so this is very, from what I've seen, very well animated. Story is pretty good. Just as my brother said, the language is a issue sometimes if you are someone who really doesn't like colorful language in your animation. It's probably not the show for you. Death says one line in here that he was gonna. I say crap, but that's not the word he used. So I'm gonna crap you out and suffocate your girlfriend with your soul. And it's like, okay. Okay. But definitely a very cool end of the series, unfortunately, but very cool from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Haven't finished it yet, so I can't really rate it, but definitely cool seeing it. Hopefully the animation for the spinoff is just as good as it was for the main series. I do wonder who they're gonna cover next. But definitely good.
Definitely.
So that'll end our discussion on Castlevania. Give us your thoughts on that one. Next up, we got the J. Cole.
Man, listen.
I'll let him take it away because I haven't listened to it yet. Unfortunately, I've been busy with family things, but
yeah, man.
I have not been able to devour that yet. But I'll be listening to it tomorrow.
Listen. I don't even know what to tell y'all about this J. Cole album except that it's such high quality material, and again, I totally get where everybody's coming from, but I'm gonna pretend like we're all just big fans of really good music and that we enjoy the art. Like, I'm not gonna pretend to tell everybody to go listen to it. I'm just gonna talk to you for what it is. The album from top to bottom is off the chain. The thing about J. Cole is that he's kind of evolved because he's always went from being like this guy who had a lot of flair, a lot of vibrato on his earlier works, was highly produced, current standards, right? And for a little while, people were a little frustrated because they felt like J. Cole wasn't getting the respect from Rockefeller Records, because Jay-Z tried to put him on and it just didn't work out that well. He jumped on a Beyonce joint, We Like to Party, and a lot of people were like, ugh, it didn't vibe right. So then Jay ends up getting Andre 3000 to join in on that bad boy, and he skins it alive. I mean, he kills it. And so, but on this, guys, I gotta tell you, J. Cole did his thing, and it's from top to bottom. 95 South, definitely the way to begin it, but it's like, you had a Mario on there. Next, you had My Life. Just, you won't understand it until you listen to it. So I'm gonna go just straight to some of the reasons as to why I love the album. One of my favorite tracks is 100 Mil, and it's very, what I've noticed about a lot of artists have been doing as of lately is that they're trying to reestablish what hip hop really is. Because what happened for a little bit, and it's just my opinion, somewhere around after 2012-ish, if you will, maybe even 2011, there came a point where you started having a lot of these producers and a lot of these rappers who didn't know anything about hip-hop. They didn't know anything about where it come from. They didn't know anything about the different rappers. And I think it reached its crescendo back in 2020, 2019, when you started having rappers like Lil Xan who would go around talking about like that Pac was overrated and he couldn't name one bar from Uzi Vert and I believe it was even Lil Yachty who was like, those are boring beats, and those are beats from like classic albums, and it's like you begin to question, why are you here then? Because it's like rock and roll, right? I can get up and play an amazing guitar solo, and somebody say, where did that come from? Like, they get, what rock and roll album? Was it Metallica? Was it Led Zeppelin? Was it Stone Temple Pilots? Was it Soundgarden? Was it Nirvana? Was it... You get where I'm going? Like, you never mistake rock for being anything other than rock. Country is country. Don't get me wrong, you can have a pop country song. You know, like Shania Twain did her thing back in the day when she was doing stuff like that. But the thing is that when it comes to hip-hop, somewhere around this period, we started getting into this weird little era where almost anybody could claim to be a hip-hop artist. There's a country artist, they said, this country kid is bringing the heat in hip-hop. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. So we're without a definition. And how this plays into this album is everything is decidedly hip-hop, but it uses the fundamental roots of hip-hop, which is R&B, which is soul, which is classic music that comes from like everything from gospel to the Earth, Wind, and Fire, to the George Clintons, the P-Funks. Like, very funky sounds are being used. So I'll give you a prime example. The track 100 Mil, it's one of my favorites because there's a sample in there. I don't know whose sample it is. I got to go and do some research on it. I probably should have done it for the podcast. But you guys got to understand, I'm such a music lover. I just love the energy of it, right? And so it has this very 70s/60s/soul funk groove to it, where it has a 3-part harmony where you have this bass singer who is literally creating a beat. And when they do it, he launches right into the lyrics of 100 Mil. And 100 Mil is basically a motivation track saying that, you know what, I'm still on my grind and I've achieved so much. And I'm not going to stop getting better. There's always bigger and higher levels to achieve, levels of success. And just focusing upon the success is not driving around in a car, but being a master of your own time. Like, to be honest with y'all, getting a little bit deep with it, we've kind of figured that success is the Maserati you drive, the Hublot watch, the Maybach car, the BMW, the Mercedes, the G-Wagon. Like, but people don't realize that entrepreneurship, real success is when you can get up in the morning and say, what do I want to do, as opposed to what do I gotta do. And what I gotta do is I better hit this clock. I better punch this clock. I better get to work so that way I can keep this roof over our head, keep this clothes on my back, make sure my kids live a good life, make sure my wife lives a good life. Like, there's a difference between that and, oh, that's all good already. So what do I feel like doing today? Like, I have 7 streams of income coming in. And that's where the mentality is so different. And that's what I love about this album so much. It's from top to bottom, to the point where you're listening to 100 Mil, and then even, like I said, you go all the way down to the very last track. The very last track is Hunger on the Hillside. And there are some real gems. There are some real good sayings inside the song. Inside the song, I believe it was My Life with 21 Savage. 21 Savage had a line where he talked about, and I'm glad that my dad failed me because he would have never corrected me. And I believe that's the line. I could be mistaken. But when I talked to one of my little proteges about why that line meant so much to him, he had advised me that it was because, you know, his father on one hand was showing him one way, and he was also learning another way at the same time. So that way he's able to take all of that information and live his life accordingly. Guys, again, if you're not a hip hop fan, I understand, but if you are, this is J. Cole's To Pimp a Butterfly. And to me, that's the top of hip hop. Like, I know everybody loves Kendrick Lamar's Damn album, and I know they love Good Kid, Mad City. To Pimp a Butterfly is a piece of art to me. Because there's nothing else out there that sounds anything like it from top to bottom. This J. Cole album, from his punchlines, his deliveries, I would love to tell you all my favorite lines, but I don't think that'll justify it. I'm encourage you to get up, go listen to it. Go listen to it for yourself. Sit there, listen to it. And then once you've listened to it, go back and listen to it again. And then once you've listened to it, go back and listen to it for a third time. And once you've kind of deciphered what you're listening to and what the words mean, I promise you, you're going to feel the same way I feel about this one. This is a piece of art. This is probably one of the best. This is, honestly, hip-hop has been in a bad shape for a long time. What I'm hearing, guys, it's bad when you had, like, what I would rather hear Kanye West go, boopity scoop, scoopity whoopity scoop, scoopity whoop. Like, guys. And I'm like, anything. I'll take that versus this trash that's on the radio. I'll take that versus much of the stuff that they're trying to push. Guys, this is a breath of fresh air. Devour it, enjoy it, and, man, God bless you.
As I said, I gotta take some time to actually listen to it tomorrow, but I'm definitely gonna get on that and see if it's as good as he's hyping it up.
Man, listen. Mira.
All right, then our last topic for the night.
Let's go.
One Piece, chapter 1013. Anarchy in the BM is what it's officially titled. That's obviously a nod to anarchy in the UK.
Yeah.
Obviously, UK is short for United Kingdom. Obviously, BM is short for Big Mom.
Yeah.
So Anarchy and the Big Mom Pirates is what the chapter was getting at, but BM for short. I think this chapter was better. The last chapter,
definitely.
Last chapter was good. It was a classic One Piece comedy chapter.
Yeah.
The reveal of Zoro and all those bandages were just mad funny. It was hilarious.
The fact that Sanji was carrying him around like he's Jesus carrying a cross, that just is not lost to me at all.
It was hilarious. But this week we got to see Oda subvert our expectations in a great way. I think most authors, most people just really go for shock value. But the thing I've always appreciated about Oda, even though I don't always agree with the directions he takes One Piece in. Obviously, Hulk Island was not one of my favorite arcs in One Piece. I thought there was a lot of wasted potential there. There was
Definitely.
a lot of setups that just didn't get executed on or followed through on. But what I like what he did with the subverting of expectations here is that obviously us in the fandom, we were waiting for Nami to get her next big fight. This would have been her first big fight since she fought Khalifa of CP9. So we thought that she was going to get Zeus back. We thought she and Zeus would team up to take out Ulti. And if you want to read this chapter for free, you can go to mangaplus.com. Just a small plug for the official Viz. You can go to Manga Plus. But obviously, we thought as fans, Nami would team up with Zeus again and that they would take out Ulti together. But Oda broke our ankles with this. He actually had Big Mom take her out real quick with a move called Mazer Cannon. It's the formation of all three of her main homies, Napoleon the Sword, Prometheus the Fire, and her new homie Hera the Lightning. Mazer Cannon is from a Godzilla Toho film back in the day. I believe it was either Destroyer All Monsters or Destroya. Is where you see the Mazer Cannon. I'm not too clear on that. I think that's where it comes from. But you got to see Ulti get blasted through. I've seen many people talk about how Manchu actually got ripped through. But we also thought that when Ichiji of German 66 hit Oven, and Hokage Island with his sparking Valkyrie. We thought that he actually tore a hole in the oven too, but he really didn't. It was just a burn. But this one does, honestly, look like she actually shot a hole into Ulti. Ulti is a Zoan, so we know that she's of the most powerful Zoan, the Dragon Fruit class. And so she should be able to shake it off in a few chapters, maybe 2 or 3 chapters, especially if she's awakened. But it was cool. I mean, again, Oda subverted our expectations in this way. He had Big Mom still show herself to be lethal, friend or foe alike, because she did it because obviously last chapter, Ulti slapped Tama. Tama is one of Big Mom's friends, or who Big Mom considers a friend, and so that really triggered her, and so she put Ulti down real quick. That's because Ulti was about to bash Nami's skull with her Ulti Mortar. That was the same move she was about to hit Luffy with right before Kaido's daughter came in there and knocked Ulti out with her very own Thunder Bagua. So that was that was cool. That's the beginning of the chapter. The middle point of the chapter is when Captain Eustace Kid comes in, who we haven't seen, I believe, since like 10, 11, or 10 was the last time we saw Kid. We knew that he and Killer got blasted off the roof. Yeah. Killer stayed behind to fight Hawkins. Kid went ahead to go track down Big Mom. And so he tracked her down. He comes in there, stops her Cognac attack, which is when she puts Prometheus on Napoleon as a flaming sword, and she was about to come down on both Usopp, Otama, and Nami. Big Mom mentioned something that she didn't like, that she doesn't like being abandoned. We know that she felt abandoned when she came to after she seemingly ate Mother Carmel and all of the other kids of the little shanty schoolhouse. Obviously, that was being set up and ran by the rope government to turn these kids into potential giants, do their different science projects. More than likely, they were using Vegapunk for that. And so we know that one giant saw it, and he went back to tell Elbath what Big Mom did, and that's why Elbath broke all ties off with her later on in the future. So that's the middle part. You have Kid come in with Punk Gibson. I know some people complain that why didn't we get to see a different attack? Why is he still using Punk Gibson? Why hasn't he seemingly going all out? I think what's cool is that he stopped Big Mom's attack. He stopped the Yonko's attack. Obviously, we saw Zoro on the roof stop both an attack from Big Mom and Kaido at the same time, only momentarily, but he still stopped the attack. And so seeing Kid, another supernova, one who is a captain, stopping an attack from Big Mom was nothing to sneeze at. So he stops her and slams her down to the ground, and seemingly those two are about to tussle. And then we get to the last part of the chapter where Kaido was giving this speech. He's like, I should have held, I got too excited because I actually thought you were potentially on my level. We know that Kaido considered Luffy to be near his top 5 of pirates of all time.
Yeah.
When he had that in chapter 1000 when Luffy hit him with the red rock, Kaido had that panel of the silhouettes of his top 5 pirates who've actually been able to hurt him. We saw Odin was in there, Rox D. Zabek, Red Hair Shanks, and then obviously Whitebeard and Roger were in there. And so he thought Luffy was probably and finally on that level, right? And so he says, I got carried away. So seemingly he has another thing in his toolkit with his hybrid form, because he seems to just cling Luffy's clock. Obviously, he's sighing more than likely. He's actually crying because he's disappointed that Luffy couldn't hold up to that. We know that. The narrator in 795, the chapter where we first see Kaido, talks about in a 1v1 bet on Kaido. We know that when Yamato heard that it was just Luffy and Kaido on the roof from Momo,
like, oh no!
She's like, man, I have to get up there. Obviously. I know some people have talked about maybe Kaido has a luck factor. I'll shout that out too. I actually watched his video today, Straw Hat Jedi. He actually put out a video today talking about that and how he believes Kaido might have a secret luck factor that plays into his favor when he's in a 1v1. Obviously this is going to be more than just Luffy who takes out. Obviously Luffy's going to get the final blow.
Yeah, definitely.
He's the main character of the series. He's going to get the final blow on Kaido. He's the only one who knows how to, amongst our allies, who knows how to incorporate Conqueror's Haki into his attack. Zoro does it on a one-off attack with Ashura. Zoro cannot maintain that. That's just a strong technique for him. And so, definitely cool. It was a cool panel, even though it is our main guy getting thrown off the island with his eyes whited out. And this is the 4th time Kaido's beaten Luffy, I believe.
Yeah.
He beat him when he first got there with Thunder Bagua. He knocked him out again with Ragnaraku. No, it's just the third time he's knocked out Luffy. Yeah. It's just the third time he's knocked out Luffy. Second time was Ragnaraku, and this time we don't even know what he did to off-screen Luffy, to off-screen the main character. So what are your thoughts about the chapter? What do you think is going to happen next? Obviously, we won't get a chapter next week because in Japan, this one was considered a double issue.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to carry for 2 weeks. So what do you think is going to happen in 1014?
First off, let's give a big ups to Oda for definitely breaking our ankles. Because the last time we saw it, Luffy had that smile, and they were like, yeah, the brighter your smile, the more dangerous the situation. You, step it up to it. And as a reader, you're kind of like, so just like that, Luffy is
Yonko level.
Yonko level, okay. and I have no problem with him being Yonko level, because if you're, listen.
He's low tier.
Yeah. if you gotta understand, if you're a manga fan, a person who's followed One Piece, as long as we have, we've been following One Piece since what? 2003, 2004. It's 2021, so we're talking about a good 16 to 17 years of just spending time keeping up with the different issues and the different adventures that they've been on. And so, when you get to a point where you're seeing the main character begin to flourish, you just believe in keeping it consistent enough that you can be like, okay, that makes sense, Like, don't get me wrong, but it's like, when Frank Miller did the Batman vs. Superman comic, it wasn't even Batman vs. Superman, it was The Dark Knight Returns, and the reason why you could believe that Batman was able to beat Superman, it was because Superman was in the mindset of believing that he was like God's gift to Earth. A lot of people don't read that story. They don't understand that if you read the comic, and if you go watch the animation, it's 2 different stories. Yeah. One is based on the other, and what is the actual story? The best parts of it, and I don't want to kind of go on this little rant. I'm not going on a rant. Just hear me out here. The best parts of it is Batman's internal monologue, because he's sarcastic, he's snarky, he's not a grandpa at all. He's bitter, he's frustrated, disappointed. In some cases, just he has a very cynical way of looking at the world, and that's very entertaining. Well, the thing about it is, we go over to we take that mentality where Superman thought that he underestimated Batman. He didn't know that Batman would be prepared to fight him. He didn't know that Batman had been plotting him, researching him, looking for every opportunity to take him out. He didn't know it. And so when Batman crushed him, as a reader, you're like, that makes sense. The psychology makes sense. If you've been reading One Piece all these years, and you see how Kaido jumped from the heavens to smack on the earth, the very first time we meet him, he takes out 6 of the top pirates of that.
Well, two of them didn't fight him. One was already on his side, and Apu.
Yeah.
Hawkins looked at his percentage chance. There's
a percentage of rain today. Exactly. I think I'll be going back home.
And then we know that Kid and Killer were the only ones who actually tried to fight him.
No, and he literally beat the daylights out of them.
Ate their lunch money.
I mean, there was a picture of where it just shows Kaido like in the forefront, but they show this one pirate thrown into a cage, and he was in terrible shape, and that was Captain Kidd because he was defiant enough to keep fighting him regardless. But it was when you see how he handles a character like that, and Kid is allegedly on the same status as Luffy, then it's like, okay, so now all of a sudden Luffy is talking about, I'm going one-on-one with the Great One, and it's because he gained this power overnight after he got been literally kind of used
overnight. But you know, it's like we gotta add
it was 3 weeks.
A little bit of context.
It was 3 weeks.
It was training. It's something that we talking about that we want to see. At least it was training.
No, and I get it. I get it. But
unlike other series, aka Fairy Tail,
Naruto. But no, for real, on the real. And you are right. We did ask for Luffy to get some training to at least see him get to that point. But the thing about that so bothers me is that he goes from fighting a character like Katakuri, who was literally like in the last arc, Whole Cake Island, not a great arc, but they had a character by the name of Katakuri. Katakuri was his abilities were so off the charts, he could see the future. And he was excellent at everything he did. So now all of a sudden Luffy is barely able to make it out alive to where now he's taking on the world's strongest pirate. Like, oh, okay. So he couldn't get past the first mate. He barely got past the first mate, but now he's taking on the world's strongest pirate. It's like, as a fan, you're kind of like, okay, how are they going to do this? Well, they got training. And what I meant when I said that earlier, I was talking about during the first fight.
Oh, yeah.
First fight, he got used as a mop.
Yeah, he got destroyed.
He got used as a mop. And even the second time when he got knocked out, you know, the thing that was like, you begin to understand, well, he had just learned how to be able to channel the Conqueror's Haki onto himself as opposed to just taking the shock value of it. So it made sense to some degree. But at the same time, though, you're like, but he's the world's strongest pirate. He shouldn't be so easily overcome after Luffy discovers a single ability that allows him to be able to somewhat allow him to fight on that level. It's kind of like the student is never as great as the master. Because the master only teaches the student what he knows. But he doesn't teach the student all that he knows. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's a level of discovery, self-discovery that you have to have involved. And I get it. It's a manga. You know, but if you pay attention to the way that Oda tells a story, it's a very methodic and philosophical way of telling a long form of story. So there are rules to this, right? There are levels to this. And that's what's so great about One Piece, is that you've seen him take all these milestones. So when you're starting to see him finally go toe-to-toe with Kaido, and you see Zoro, who's an extremely great judge of character, who says, okay, Luffy, you got this. I believe it in you. And then he takes off and everybody else takes off. And they're all doing the shenanigans. But then it's starting to begin to come back. And then all of a sudden you see, hey, he getting tossed aside like hot garbage. And you're like, wait a minute. What's going on here?
Yeah, this is the only second time in the series this happened. We know that they believe Luffy would beat Crocodile. And then... we come back to that fight, and he has Crocodile's hook through his stomach.
Yeah.
And so, discarded in the desert, and now Zoro believes in Luffy to beat Kaido, and we see him getting thrown off Onigashima, and we don't know if it's still over the water or not, or if it's finally over land now. So we basically saw Luffy lose to Kaido on land, and now we've seen him lose to Kaido in the air. Next, we're going to see if he can beat Kaido on the sea. Because it says land, sea, or air, bet on Kaido.
Yeah.
In a 1v1. Some people believe his daughter Yamato is either a Nue, the hybrid between I believe it's actually based off of the Chimera, the head and body of a lion, but the tail is a snake, and the hind legs are a goat or a fawn. So she could be a Nue, or some people believe the mindset that she could also be a dragon herself.
She could be a giraffe rig.
Stop it. Kylo is based off of the Eastern dragon. People believe dragon himself is based off of the Western dragon. And so we're actually going to see where Oda is going to take us to. Do you believe this act is finally coming to an end? Because we know that if this does follow traditional kabuki plays, Act 1 was 15 chapters, Act 2 is 30. This chapter, this act so far has been 56 chapters.
So this is the end.
It could be. We know that Act 3 traditionally in kabuki plays ends in tragedy. So this could be the tragedy Luffy lost. But since nobody knows Luffy lost, is it really a tragedy? We the readers know he lost.
I think not
the actual characters in the story.
I think I think it's good for the readers to know. Because it's kind of like, did his crew know about him having a hook in the stomach?
Well, they know he lost against Crocodile when Miss Sunday, aka
Nico Robin,
told him.
Yeah,
that he lost. But yeah.
Did they know about him also getting it handed to him a second time?
Nah, nobody knew about it.
No. So it's like, I think it's more for the reader because the way that it ended, it showed where.
For us.
Yeah, that was for us.
Yeah. Toss aside.
Yeah, that wasn't meant for his crew. Now, I do think that it would be kind of cool if he's maybe thrown into the water or he's thrown off and then maybe Momo sees him because he has the hockey ability to see him. And I think that would be cool if that's what prompts him to jump up and go fly, to go after Luffy.
Yeah, because he seemingly has the voice of all things. He can even tell Luffy's power level, or it's just super advanced armor and hockey because we know Isa and Skypiea could do it. We know Rayleigh literally scanned the island of Rusukaina to know how many animals on there were stronger than Luffy.
Oh yeah.
He scanned it like there's 500 animals here that are stronger than you, so you need to be able to beat these animals when it comes down to it. So,
man, I think of it like when Goldie Roger, Scopper Gabon, and Silver's Rayleigh were on the island, and then you had Odin over here like, ooh, I sent somebody strong. And he says, oh, there's somebody strong. He's a beast.
Oh, yeah. Odin's a wild animal.
And I can just imagine like Whitebeard like, oh, no, you wait.
I mean, even there is like, we obviously see the Conqueror's hockey coating made Luffy's attacks more potent. I wonder, does that also enhance your jumping abilities? Because we literally saw, in the anime anyway, we literally saw Whitebeard jump from one side of the island to the next in like 2 rounds.
Yeah.
He was there to back up his second commander in Odin against Roger. Because Roger sent him flying with, with his move quite easily. It got through Odin's defenses.
Yeah.
And so, definitely there. Obviously, we know the attack potential goes way up with Conqueror's coding. But obviously, what does it do for the other branches of hockey? Does it also increase your observation? Does it increase, again, speed or anything, things of those nature? Because we know speed is what helped Luffy beat Katakuri. People are saying, Luffy needs Gear 5th. They're saying he needs Awakening. I'm thinking it's still just going to be another Gear 4th. So far we've seen Bounce Man, we've seen Tank Man, full version, we've seen Snake Man. So since he said Gear 4th, I believe there's actually going to be 4 Gear 4 modes. So whatever the next one's going to be is probably going to be his true power mode. He said Bounce Man was balanced because it had attack and speed. We know Luffy couldn't really dodge Gear 4th because he said Gear 2nd. He said Gear 2nd was fast enough to hit him, but it tickled. He said Gear 4. He said Gear 3rd was strong enough to actually hurt him if it connected, but it was too slow. So that's why Luffy pulled out Gear 4th. Tank Man is just defensive form. That's what he beat Cracker with. Speed killed Katakuri's observation, his future sight, because it's kind of like Sasuke with the Sharingan. Just because you can see it doesn't mean you can actually dodge it. You have to be fast enough to. So we saw that killed the future sight with the speed from Snake Man. So maybe his Gear 4th. I don't know if you go based off of the animals he fought on Rusukana, you would think the red monkey was the strongest one, but there was also a lion there on that island. So a lot of people are saying it's going to be Lion Man. Gear 4th Lion Man or Tiger Man is going to be his final Gear 4th mode. That would basically, because we've already seen him do Kong Gun and King Kong Gun, so that would mean that that's based off of the gorilla. He actually looks like a silverback in that mode. If you really pay attention to it, he looks like a silverback. But we're definitely going to see if it is another Gear 4th, or as people are suggesting, Gear 5th or Awakening. Luffy finally learns how to do Awakening. But I don't think Awakening is till after Elbath. I think he's going to learn the 3 branches of Haki. Because obviously, that's what Oda was setting up for. Last arc was what? Observation. You could argue Dressrosa was Armament Haki. Whole Cake Island was Observation. This arc, you can argue, is King's Haki, but he doesn't have a full grasp. So you could still argue that Elbath will be him fully coming into King's Haki. Because maybe Shanks will be there in Elbath, and then you could probably say Awakening happens in the arc after Elbath.
Yeah.
Either Lodestar or Raftel, if we get there. That if the 4th poneglyph is actually on Elbath, or Shanks has it, because Shanks said he's not going to meet Luffy until he considers Luffy to be a great pirate. When he saw Luffy's bounty increase to 1.5, he said it's nearly time to meet Luffy. If he gets in the next newspaper and Luffy beat Kaido, and it's now time to meet him. That might be his gift to Luffy. Here's this red poneglyph, aka the road poneglyph. At that point, they already have the rubbing from Big Mom. They have the one from Zoe. Probably going to get the one from Kaido's island, if this is his favorite island. We know that a lot of people in the community believe that his favorite island is where he keeps his road poneglyph at. Because Robin didn't find the road poneglyph. No, it was Brooke. Brooke saw a poneglyph, but it was blue. It wasn't red. It was surrounded by Koketsu dolls earlier on in the arc. And so, where we're going to see where these next few chapters take us. If this is truly the coming down to the end of Act 3, we're about to get Act 4 coming up, which in the Kabuki plays is supposed to be straight hype, straight action. And then Act 5 would be a epilogue, aka the banquet party for the Strayas, that they know that they want to officially welcome Jinbei to the crew. That's why they didn't do it, even though Zoro smelled out the booze and found him with his nose. But yeah, definitely this was a great chapter. Give us your thoughts and opinions on it. I know we had about 2 concurrent viewers in here for a little bit, so I want to shout y'all out, whoever y'all were. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Like or dislike, comment, as we always say. Any type of interaction on the video helps the channel, helps our growth. It helps us get in there, so definitely appreciate everyone who came out tonight. And y'all have a good one.
Yeah, certainly. Take it easy. We'll do it again real soon. Later.